Business owners, you're in your own way. Listen to this if you'd like to stop doing that.
Welcome back to the Edgy Entrepreneur Podcast, where we believe that if you're not focusing on your mindset, you're leaving 80% of your business potential on the table. We are your hosts. Yet again, I am Daniel Tribby. I am an entrepreneur in healthcare, coach, an author, and a healthcare provider myself, and I have the pleasure of being on this podcast with Oriana. Who are you, Oriana?
I am life and personal performance coach Oriana, and speaker and author as well. Glad to be here with you.
Let's do this. We're getting towards the end of this first season.
Exciting.
I know this is the second to last one, and we're going to address a topic today that I think is super important around why people feel at odds with their business, right? And there's some things that come into play here from a personality standpoint inside your business, not personality as in like who you are, but your personalities as they go through different phases of the business cycle, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to address those, and a lot of this is going to come from a book written by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth, right? So if you've not read that book, take it upon yourself to check it out. It's a really, really good book, but we're going to do a good summary of it for you here, as well as give you some insider tips on two people who own their own businesses. So let's go, Oriana, kick us off.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is really having to do with being at odds with yourself and the way that your business actually brings that up based on what stage you are in your business. So one of the things that we really are dedicated to in our belief as a coaches and as a brand is that your business will be one of the things in your life that brings up all of the stuff that's inside of you, right? Like it kind of kicks up your shadows and your limiting beliefs and self-doubt and all of the things that are inside of yourself that you haven't yet worked on or that you don't have self-awareness about. So while you're in your business, that makes you feel conflict or conflicted within yourself, and that then impacts your ability to perform well in business, right? And in life, right? Your business is a relationship, right? That's your business, your relationship with your business. And so just the way that people can trigger you, your clients can trigger you, you can get triggered in your relationship with your business if you don't pay attention to what's coming up within yourself in the way that you operate and run your business, right? So when that stuff comes up, it's usually because you're taking on one of three personas in your business setting, right? So you're either acting as a technician, as a manager, or as a strategist as it relates to your business. And any one of those could be at odds with any of the others, because what we have to realize is that you're actually all three of those things simultaneously. But behaviorally, when you kind of get entrenched in any one of those three almost exclusively, then you start to feel this clash really within yourself.
Right. And I think too, I mean, as I mentioned, I have the privilege of working with a lot of healthcare entrepreneurs. And usually what happens to these people is if they don't come right out of school wanting to own a business, they usually start a business out of some other frustration or irritation or F this guy in this group, I don't want to work for that person anymore, I'm going to go start my own. And so, which is great. Like I applaud any of you for doing that, for wanting to take a step out on your own and open a business. The problem is just because you're good at that thing you do, whether you're a plumber or an electrician or a physician or a chiropractor or a coach, whatever it may be, just because you have a great skill set at that does not mean that you will be a good business owner around that skill. They are two very separate things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the difference between working on your business and working in your business. You know, when you're an expert in a particular field, that means that you will most likely excel at being in your business. Right, this is where you're serving clients and you're doing the thing that you love. You're in your core skill sets, right? Mm-hmm. When you're working on your business, you're going to be completely out of your core skill sets. You're not going to be in your expertise. So you're probably for the first time, you're not going to feel completely competent. You're not going to feel totally skilled or as an expert like what you're used to operating as, right? Mm-hmm. You move throughout the world in your career, in your expertise, all of a sudden building a business and making it profitable requires you to step out of that, step away from the things you love and enjoy, like working directly with clients, or in the case of your coaching clients, patients. So you got to actually get out of that to work on your business and to grow it. And now all of a sudden you're a novice.
Yep.
Think about that. You've been 10 years building up your expertise. It takes a minimum of 10 years to become an expert at anything. And all of a sudden, you think that you're going to sell that and be profitable and be successful.
Right.
But that actually requires you to build something from scratch and become a novice in that all over again.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this misunderstanding that, going to school and getting this particular degree, I have a master's degree in human resources. I also have an MBA, and I will flat out say neither one of those degrees prepared me to build a business.
They prepared you to be a manager or an administrator inside of a business, right? And
they prepared me to excel inside of business.
Right. I actually was writing down blog topics for myself in recent days of things I wanted to write about. And one of them was how your MBA is worthless as a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Because let me back that up a little bit. So it's not worthless as a business owner. It's worthless as an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
As the strategist of your business, it's worthless. As the manager persona in your business, it's probably a good thing to have. It works. But if you really want to be the strategist, if you really want to be the entrepreneur, then you have to have a top-down look of your business. You cannot be in the trash and in the business shit all day long trying to look up to see where it's going to go. That doesn't work like that. You have to have a top-down look and really be into the creative, strategy-minded place where you're going to create these ideas or these systems for your business, and then hand those ideas to the manager persona to implement them for the technicians or practitioners or employees inside your business to then actually do. Right? So those are your three different personas, and we want to break these down so you guys understand where they're excelling for you and where they're limiting you. What are they doing to disable you, and what are they doing to enable you?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it requires a totally different skill set, right? So, if you're in this struggle, know that it's not your fault, right? For most professional degrees only prepare you to be an expert in that one field. Right. They don't actually prepare you to build a business associated with that field, right? So it's not your fault, but know that that's where you're at, right? And so to go into business building thinking I have this degree and I have this professional experience and that's all I need, that could be a little naive. Right. And if you don't realize that soon enough, you could get yourself into a little bit of trouble because you realize like you have to actually step away from that to look at your business from a much more high level strategic point of view. Right. This point of view is much more multidimensional than what you've probably ever had to step into in the past, which requires you to like do an identity shift, right? You have to also see yourself as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, and not just as the professional that you have expertise in.
Right. You've got to up level in several different areas, right? So, correct. And I'll say, for any of you who are listening to this who are in healthcare, tell me what course you took in college when you're learning to be a provider that was sales, marketing, customer service, leadership, how to hire people. How
to fire people.
You don't learn any of that shit.
Yeah.
You learn how to be a technician. So when you start your business, right, you are a provider in that business, and that's what you do. And you're trying to juggle, or you think you can hire people that can help you run your business, and you can bring this person in because they have experience in being an administrator or being some sort of supportive role, something like that. And so you hire all these people to come help you run a business which has no identity other than the one that makes you a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is that your business you're trying to open. You have no identity as a business. So, and this is what that looks like. So how many of you can make a better hamburger than McDonald's? Right? I bet all of you are like,
most
sure.
people.
Right, I'm sure I can do that. But how many of you can come up with a better system than McDonald's?
Right.
That's the difference between being a technician, I know how to make the burger, versus running a system, which is the business. The business is nothing more than a system of systems. And if you don't learn about those systems and you don't create an identity for your systems, then you're just bringing people in with the crap that they brought from wherever they were before that may or may not work for you. And then you end up going, well, who told you to do it like that? You have no identity, so they're just doing what they already know versus doing the system or executing upon the system that you have strategized, that you have put together.
Yeah, now granted, if you're a small business owner or, one of these solopreneurs, you're going to start in your business as a technician. Right? You are the person who is doing the thing and you're also selling the thing. And so you have to wear a lot of different hats, and that's okay. That's understood. But again, if you don't have an understanding that you actually have to play multiple roles, not just the technician role, what's going to end up happening is that your business is actually going to become a job. Right. So essentially you created another job for yourself. Maybe you left another employer to start a business, but really you created a job, not a business. Right. And so once you're there and you've created a job and now you've taken on not only your expertise and being a provider for that expertise, but now you've taken on actually a huge level of responsibility with running your business in a way to make your expertise profitable, right? Because you're trying to make a living, presumably. So now that you've taken on all of these other responsibilities, now you're working probably more than you ever worked before, right? You're not, you probably left your job thinking like, I don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week anymore. And now you're busting out 80 to 100.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens now? You created a job, not a business. And now you're working even more than ever. Now your relationships, maybe your health and other parts of your life are struggling, and your business starts to become a pain point.
Right.
It starts to become a pain point, and you start to get entrenched in some limiting beliefs like, I'm the only one that can do this. I can't trust other people to do this for me. I can't find anyone to do this for me, or I don't have the resources to hire somebody else to help me.
Right.
And that is a painful place to be, my friends.
Yeah, very, very tough. And I think a lot of people suffer from that. A lot of people think that they're going to be able to open a business, and if I build it, they will come. Horseshit, it will not. So you have to go tell the people, the ideal person that you want to offer your services to come and see you, and then sell them on your way, right? So I always have this conversation about products versus services. Right? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm not talking about product or service-based businesses. I'm talking about what is the actual product that people get from your business. It is not a thing. It's not a tangible item. It's how are you making people feel? And how are you injecting that feeling at every turn of your business? Okay, so I bank at Wells Fargo. I know they didn't pay me to say that. But when you walk into Wells Fargo, on the back wall behind where all the tellers are, there's a sign, and it talks about courtesy. Their service is banking. Their product is courtesy. So you have to decide from a business standpoint, what is the product that you're giving people, right? I don't care if you're selling, Tinker toys to toddlers. What is the product? Right? What is the actual thing that people are getting from your business, and how are you injecting that across every part of your business, right? So for us in our regenerative medicine practice, it's hope, right? So hope is the thing we're giving to people who've been suffering from bone, muscle, joint, and spine-related pain issues, right? So yes, we provide regenerative medicine and stem cell therapy for those people, but the actual product is hope. And how do we give that to them in our emails and our phone calls, when they walk in the door, when they see the physician, when they get pulled back from the lobby? Like, what is that thing that you're giving people that identifies your way, right? So if you have ABC Company, what is the ABC way of doing things? And until you can structure that out, in manuals, by the way, and Michael Gerber talks about this, is writing down what are your actual operations, policies, processes, procedures. And those make a business because they're repeatable, they're sustainable, and they're predictable. And it makes you different from all the other yahoos in your field that want to do the same thing.
In order to get to this place where you even have awareness of what you just described, you have to be able to look at your business from a greater perspective than just a technician, right? If you're a technician exclusively, you're just in the minutia, you're in serving people, you're in getting things done, and you're not at a higher level of perspective that you need it in order to be able to ensure yourself long-term, sustainable, predictable income, right? Listen to that, long-term, sustainable and predictable income. like what you were getting when you were employed, right?
Right, because if one day you want to sell your business, they're not going to just buy your business because it makes money. They're going to buy your system.
Correct.
Because that is the thing that's repeatable. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, when you step into your strategist, which is your true entrepreneurial essence, that is where you come up with these types of things. This is where you sit down and get really creative. How is my business different? What's my vision? What's my mission? Who do I hire? How do I hire? Right? Who am I specifically looking to work for or with, or whatever that may be? And then you create this ideal vision. You write it all down. And then you give that to your manager. If your manager is you, if you're the solopreneur doing everything, then now you have to step into the role of saying, okay, here is the system I want to create. What do I actually need to do to make this happen?
Right. How do I execute on the system?
Exactly.
Right. But the visionary creates the system because they have the greatest perspective of the organization.
Right.
And then your technician's almost like your front of the house line person, right, who's delivering on the actual service to customers.
Right. And then if you don't create that system, but you hire someone to be your quote unquote manager, they're going to bring systems that they've gathered through their other experience and start implementing them because you don't have a system. And then when that's not something you want done, you're going to turn around and look at them and go, who told you to do it that way? But here's the problem. You didn't do anything other than delegate by abdication. Right? Which means you just said, go and do, no direction, have at it, right? Versus delegating specific systems and specific product services that you deliver and how you want them delivered. And I know people who've done this. They're like, yeah, I've been through like 3 managers or 3 partners and none of them do it the way I want to do it. And I'm like, well, have you identified the way you want to do it? And have you told them? Have you hired them, showed them your system, and then asked them to implement the system that you strategized, that you developed, that you created? And they're like, no.
Yeah. Versus just hiring somebody with management experience and the only expectation that you place is that they're going to utilize their expertise as an experienced manager to help you run your business, but never actually explaining to them why. This is one of the pitfalls, even from the strategist perspective, right? It's looking at your management team and going, why can't you just implement my vision? Like, why is this so hard? Why can't you? Well, it's hard for them and they're not doing it because you haven't supported them in their ability to execute, right? Because everything comes back home to yourself, especially when you're in business for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're a manager in your business, you might be looking at your technicians and going like, how many times do I have to explain this? I don't know if I hired the right people. I don't know if I could just do this better on my own,
right.
Which is basically you saying, I should just become a technician again. And so when we talk about these 3 personality types being at odds at all times within yourself in the organization, and that potentially creating stress, overwhelm, frustration, and self-doubt for you, that's the perspective that we're coming from, is that you have to be aware that all 3 of these must live inside of you and must learn to be in a collaborative partnership with one another, right? And if they're not, then you're going to start experiencing those painful emotions come up, right, that I just described. If you're not in a place where you can recognize, like, oh, as a strategist, I'm not setting my people up for success. I'm not articulating my vision the way that they need to be able to see it, right? Why can't they execute? Because they can't see my vision, or because I haven't provided them with the system or the standard operating procedures to be able to execute.
Right.
And so when you understand that and you have that kind of full perspective of those 3 personas and how they show up in your business and in your work, then you can start to work from a much more synergistic perspective within yourself and those 3 personas. It sounds like we're talking about having, different personalities, but in a way in your business,
right.
you do have different personalities.
You absolutely do. And I encourage all of you who are business owners to give yourself the dedicated time to be each of these people. Right. So I have a physical therapist that I've been working with recently and loves to do all things with his patients.
Sure, that's where it's fun.
Right. That's the fun part, right? That's where you excel because that's exciting.
That's what you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's having a hard time transitioning into the manager and into the business owner portion of it because it's uncomfortable. It's not what he knows. It's not what he's used to. So it's my job as his coach to teach him all those things and how to implement them, right? But here's the thing. You still have to take action on those things, and you have to create the time and the space to do that. So the issue is that usually when you're first starting something, the almighty dollar is what you're always after, right? So you will take time where you normally wouldn't give it to create more money for your business. You'll come in on a Saturday, you'll work late on Sunday, you'll schedule people at 6 in the morning or 6 at night. You don't care because you feel like money is the almighty thing, but it's not. Yes, you have to have revenue to run your business. Totally get it. But if you don't delegate specific times when you're offering your product or your service, where you're the actual technician, practitioner, whatever, and then specific time to be the manager and solely work on that stuff. And then you need specific time to be the strategist, creative entrepreneur. Right? You have to give yourself those times to be able to do that. And if you don't, you end up just, like you said, creating a job for yourself where you're running in circles. Right. And the most painful point that I see people get in is the manager one. Because the manager one is a task list, essentially. Yeah. Right? I got to put my emails together. I got to do my social media. I got to do my accounting. I got to do all these things, all these spreadsheets, all that thing. I can tell you right now, for every business that I've owned, the first person I want to hire is a manager, because I don't want to do none of that shit, because it's not my zone of genius. I don't want to do that. I want to create amazing businesses, work in them as a technician for a little bit, hire some technicians, and get out. And I want a manager to come do all the in-between stuff because I hate it. It sucks up time. But if you're not creating time and space as a solopreneur in the beginning, actually creating a habit to say, here's my 2, 3, 4 hour block to do nothing but my managerial life, right? Nothing but sitting down and managing the aspects of my system, your system will fall apart. Right? You're not going to have a business. You're going to be running around crazy. And nobody opens a business to work until they're 90 years old. The only reason you open a business is to sell it. That's it. Or you want the fruitful nature of owning a business, right? You want to be able to leave and come back knowing that your business is running just as good or better without you being there, because you created the systems for somebody to implement. I'm
glad you talked about what happens when you're not a good manager in your business, because what happens when you're not a good strategist in your business is that you lose inspiration, and you lose connection to your why, and you lose momentum because of that. So now it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I killing myself to do this? Why am I putting up with this? Why am I not with my family right now? So you forget your why because you are detached from your vision. When you are not connected to the technician, right? Or maybe you're using the technician, which is where you're in your zone of genius. In some ways, you start using that to avoid being a manager and being a strategist, right? And you're doing it too much because that's your comfort zone.
Right. It's your fun spot.
Right. And then you also lose sight of building your business. So your business can stagnate. You can burn yourself out, right? You can run out of money because you're disorganized maybe in your finances, and because you're not managing, and your strategist doesn't realize that long term you need financial resources for something else, right? So the technician doesn't see the long-term game and the long-term plan of how to grow and how to take advantage of potential opportunities or create certain opportunities in the future. The technician's just here and now. So, it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, this sounds like a good purchase here and now, with no sight or understanding that, hey, 6 months down the road, I'm going to need certain resources to be able to accomplish a certain thing, because that's part of my greater overall strategy and the direction I want to go in. And so you lose sight of that when you're entrenched in the technician, right? So really be very careful, because some of these pitfalls are very serious, and they can really impact the long-term potential success of your organization, but also the long-term potential success of you yourself as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, right? Because if you get burnt out and your health is struggling, that's going to impact every aspect of your personal ecosystem. That's going to impact your family. That's, not to mention yourself. That's going to impact your mindset. You're going to have to deal with the health issues of whatever is happening in your body. That's going to impact your financial resources as well. Right. Because now you got to redirect them away from your business and toward yourself, right? If you start to have, to be so entrenched in another part of your organization that where now your relationships are suffering or struggling, or you're not putting enough attention, you're not giving them the attention that they deserve, that's going to create a whole other set of problems in your world too, right? So, as we know, life is a very delicate balance, just like any ecosystem, and so is this, right? So, not to say that if you're not already in business building that you shouldn't be, because it is an incredibly fulfilling adventure.
Absolutely.
And the way that it moves you, or it has the potential to move you not only into like incredible impact in the world, but also into an opportunity to really just evolve yourself at such an accelerated pace, right? And there's so many things about it that make it worthwhile. But, right, like if there's other people that have been through it, right, business building can be incredibly fulfilling. It can also be incredibly painful.
Right.
Listen to the people who have been on both sides of that.
Right.
Right. So that maybe you can avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the pain points and get to the point of revenue generation consistently and successfully sooner than later, right? Like if I can help somebody avoid a pitfall in their life or business, why not, right? Like.
Right. Yeah, and I think the two biggest disabling beliefs, right, or limiting beliefs, is that one, nobody understands how I feel, nobody knows what it's like, and two, nobody can do it as good as I can, right? So those are the two things that a lot of us feel as business owners, okay? And let's very quickly talk about these two things, because I definitely understand, because I've been here, and I'm sure you have too.
They can make for a very lonely entrepreneurial experience.
Right. So we have an episode. If you haven't listened to it, it's called Finding Your Tribe. Go back and listen to it. You're not alone. There are people out there who are either going the same direction you are, or have already been the same direction you are going. And if you connect with those people, you'll find that they understand exactly how you feel, because they've been there and they can help you. Right? Stop thinking you're alone. Change the circle of people you hang around, right? If you're still hanging out with your friends from high school or college who just have jobs and you're the entrepreneur, they don't have anything to give you other than, well, I don't know why you're doing it if it's this hard. Go find the people who've gone where you want to go and start hanging out with them, spend time with them. Where did they hang out? What did they do? Go find them and spend time with them so you can learn from them. You are not alone. You just refuse to get out of your little comfort zone box and go talk to people because you don't want to look stupid. Guess what? We've all looked stupid at some point, okay? There are a lot of dumb questions out there. I know people are going to say, the only stupid question is one you don't ask. No, there are stupid questions out there, okay? But you have to find the people who have been there, who have asked the same stupid questions that can give you the right answers and the directions. You're not alone. That is a limiting belief. That's a box you're trapping yourself in, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting, because the thing that we try to avoid is always the thing we create. So, when you're trying to avoid looking silly, or, nobody else understands me, all of those limiting beliefs lead you to create more loneliness, more aloneness, more solitude, right? Not less. So, the moment that you get out of that, get out of the communities that you're in, and you join a community of people that is more aligned with what you're trying to accomplish, that you're going to feel that switch. So that's why it's so important. So yeah, I definitely recommend go back and listen to that podcast episode. Yep. And we have a community.
We do have a community. We have an Edgy Entrepreneur community. There's a Facebook group out there, so you can definitely look that up, or you can check us out on www.edgyentrepreneurs with an S, plural.com, and connect with us on there. We are definitely building a community full of like-minded people who want to gather, get their questions answered, get the support that they need, as well as provide support to other people, right? Because what's the point in being in this world if we're not giving of ourselves to other people, right? So definitely check us out there if you're looking for that community. And then on point number 2, no one else can do it as good as I can. Look, the only reason you feel that way is because you haven't developed a system that you can teach other people so they can do it your way. That's it.
Great point.
That's it. So you are sitting around expecting people to come in and immediately look around and go, wow, I get it, and just jump in. It doesn't work like that. It's just like being in a relationship in a romantic relationship. You got to tell the other person how you're feeling, right? Why can't you just read my mind? That doesn't work like that. The same thing with your business. These people can't read your mind. And until you develop a system and write it down and be able to give it to somebody who also believes in the direction and the vision that you have for your company, that's like if you don't have that, you're asking people to jump in the car with you, go on a road trip, and you don't know how long it's going to take to get there, and you don't know where you're going. That doesn't sound fun at all.
Right.
Right.
Most people avoid those situations.
I know, right? So you want to jump in the car with me, and then we're going to pull Vic over here, our AV and our podcast producer guy here. We're all going to jump in the car and go drive. We don't know how long we're going to be in the car. We don't know where we're going. We're just going to go for a ride. You guys ready? Like, how much fun is that? I mean, I'm sure 3 of us would have a good time, but people want to know where they're going. Nobody wants to watch a football game that doesn't have a damn score, right? Put together your system. Design your business and teach people how to implement it. Then guess what happens? They can do it as good as you can, or pretty well close to it, right?
Right. Yeah. And, this is so relevant to service industries and knowledge workers, right? Like as a coach, I have a methodology, right? I have a belief system that I'm inviting my clients to subscribe to so that they can change their mindset. And when they change their mindset, then I give them the tools, right? So that they can then do the thing on their own, right? So if you're not already in a place where you can, actually teach, it's not just your team members, but also your clients. Like, this is how to build a healthier life for yourself. This is how to build healthier relationships for yourself. This is how to build a healthier financial future for yourself, or be a better parent. Like, if whatever it is that you're providing, you're not providing it to the person to the extent that they can go and do it on their own without you, then you're already doing them a disservice and only giving 50% of your capacity, which means that you're only going to get back a limited level of impact as well.
Absolutely. Well said. So for those of you out there who are connecting with this, we're encouraging you to go dig into your entrepreneurial self. Go for a walk by yourself. No music, anything like that. Just walk. Let your brain wander. Let it get into your creative self. Ask yourself, what's the direction, the vision of your business, right? Then step into your managerial role. How do you implement those systems and that vision that you've created? And then be the technician who delivers upon it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That how-to question also is so important, right? If you're strategist, you're entrepreneur, right? Especially if you're a real visionary, you're going to create something enormous in your mind. And then if your manager shows up and goes, "Oh, I don't know how to do that," right? You're going to kill your own dreams.
You better go learn.
Right? So the question isn't, is that possible? It's how do I make that possible?
Right.
Right, for myself and for my business, right? Don't cut yourself off at the knees. You might have big dreams and big visions for what you want to create.
Yep.
And that's amazing, but you have to actually feed that by asking the right questions next, right? Which is, how do I do this?
Yeah. Not
doubting whether or not it can be done.
Yep. Stop shopping on the mental clearance rack. Stop asking why I can't and start asking, how do I? Right? Perfectly said.
It's a life-changing question.
I love it. So if you're one of those people asking right now, how do I? Please go to www.edgyentrepreneurs.com. Connect with us. We do some corporate consulting. We do some live events. And we have a lot of fun helping people get out of their own mess and turn businesses into something really extraordinary that they feel like they get their life back again, right? You get caught in the minutia of the day-to-day trash and you lose sight of that so fast. And as soon as you help people develop this vision and this process of being a real entrepreneur and then handing that down, you get to see some really cool stuff happen. So if that's you, definitely connect with us. We would love to be able to help you get in the car with a map and know exactly where you're going, when you're going to get there, and how you're going to get there.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to connecting with you and having you join our community. We have some classes coming up as well, some web courses. So check our website again, edgyentrepreneurs.com. Join the web courses, join the community, and become part of something bigger than yourself.
Let's go. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.